Nearly 250 years after Africans were first landed on America's shores, the Supreme Court of the United States would proclaim that blacks, by virtue of their race, were not persons before the law. In 1857, in a landmark decision, the Supreme Court ruled in the Dred Scott case that Congress had no authority to limit the spread of slavery to any territory. The Chief Justice's words stunned African Americans.
Roger B. Tawney, a Southerner, reads a decision that says that Dred Scott, as a black person, and black people generally, had never been, were not then, could never be citizens of the United States, and as such have no rights which white men are bound to respect.
Northerners were furious. "Wherever our flag floats," protested one newspaper editor, "it is the flag of slavery." When abolitionists sought ways to circumvent the Dred Scott ruling, slaveholders pressed for a federal slave law.
This is astounding. By the late 1850s, the Southerners are demanding that the federal government pass a slave code for all the territories that it acquired in the West. And obviously, Northerners aren't about to accept this kind of thing.
The battle over slavery was crippling the political process. On a bright spring morning, Congressman Preston Brooks from South Carolina entered the Senate chamber and beat Senator Charles Sumner, the fiery abolitionist, into unconsciousness.
Violence is erupting in the halls of government, on the streets of Washington, involving our lawmakers. There are people who are coming to sessions of the House of Representatives and the U.S. Senate armed. In fact, one letter says the only people who aren't coming with 2 guns are those who are coming with 2 guns and a knife.
In the midst of the partisan turmoil, all eyes turned to the 1860 presidential election and the Republican nominee, the Free Soil candidate, Abraham Lincoln. Both Edward McGee and Lewis Hughes anxiously awaited the results.
Boss had been reading the papers when he broke out with the exclamation, "The very idea of electing an old rail splitter to the presidency of the United States. Well, he'll never take his seat."
The Democratic Party had fractured North and South, giving victory to the rail splitter from Illinois. The first time a candidate was elected without carrying a single Southern state.
Remember, Lincoln was elected committed to not interfering with slavery anywhere. He was only committed to restricting its expansion. But at that point, the slaveholders had become so convinced that the North was taken over by these lunatic abolitionists that that is the way they viewed Abraham Lincoln's election, no matter what Lincoln said.
Even before Lincoln took office, 7 Southern states withdrew from the Union. Enslaved people across the South were heartened by the news. For Louis and Matilda, the moment held the first ray of hope for freedom. After reuniting with her children, Harriet Jacobs completed her autobiography. As she looked toward an uncertain future, her brother's words weighed heavy on her heart. Woe be to the country where the Son of Liberty has to rise up out of the sea of blood. The United States had come apart over slavery. The nation was at the brink of civil war.